Okay, so I'm going to demo how to make an avatar. So the first thing we're going to do is open up Adobe Photoshop. So if you go to the Start menu and just type in Photo, you'll see Adobe Photoshop CS6, and we can click on that. And it'll take just a second to open. Okay. Now, going back to the assignment page, the dimensions should be 400 by 400 pixels. Okay, so in Photoshop, when we go File, New, we can actually set the width and height. Just be careful, make sure that you're setting it in pixels and not inches. Okay, some people might have it inches by default, so just make sure it says pixels, 400 by 400. Okay, if you did it correctly, you should have a square on your screen. So this is what's called your canvas in Photoshop. It's very similar to if you were a painter, and this is your paper that you can paint on. Okay. On the left-hand side here, we have tools. Okay, so I'll go over some of the tools today, but there are quite a few of them. We won't use them all. Okay, but feel free to experiment. Right here on the right-hand side are your layers. So every time we add a new element, it usually gets its own layer, and that allows us to move it independently from another layer. Okay, and if you don't have it open, there are these three boxes with an arrow going to the top. You can click on that. This is your history. So every time you make a change, it'll show up in your history. So let me just show you that. If I take my brush, let's just set this back to regular brush, and say I drew like a smiley face. Okay, you can see on my history it said I've made 3 brush strokes. So if I don't like the last one I did, I can go back here and so on. Okay, you can also hit Control Z to undo. Okay, but that will just undo the most recent thing you did. The history is helpful to undo lots of things at once. Okay. Another thing you can do with history is you can click the snapshot, which looks like a camera, and that will create a snapshot of what my current picture looks like. So that way, if I go back in time with my history and I change it, okay, I can always go back to what I had before. Okay, so that's a little bit about your interface. So let's get to the assignment now. So the first thing I want to do is paste an image from the web. So I did Batman last time. I think this time I will do, I like this game called Mech Warrior, and I play it a lot. So I'm going to get an image from Mech Warrior. How about this one here? So I click on View Image, and just right-click the image and copy. Going back to Photoshop, I can either go to Edit and paste it, or you can see that every command has a shortcut. This one is Control plus V. How many of you guys are taking French right now? Okay, so in French, there is a word called voilà. And voilà means, here it is, right? So Control V, I like to remember that by thinking voilà, Control, voilà, Control V, voilà, here it is. Okay, so that will paste it. And we can get to the Move tool, which is the very top tool on your toolbar. And that's also, the shortcut for that is the V key. V is in Victor. And we can move the picture around. If you want to resize it, you can press Control T. And the T stands for transform. Okay, I think I'm going to keep it like, maybe like this. Okay, the next thing I want to do is add some text. So we're going to use the Type tool for that. which looks like a T on your toolbar. So when I click on that, I get some new options at the top. I can pick a font. Maybe Felix Titling sounds pretty cool. And I can just click where I want to put my text, and I can put my name. And it looks like my text is actually white right now. So I want to make sure that I change that to something I can see. Okay, and again, I can go back to my Move tool, which is my black arrow at the top, and I can move that where I want. Okay, so you'll notice that on my layers, I now have a text layer and an image layer. So if I want to move my image, I have to actually click on that layer before I can move it. Okay, otherwise, if I'm on my text layer, it's going to just move the text. Okay, so the next thing that you need to do is add a filter effect to your image. So I need to click on that image layer. And this is under the filter menu. And I'm just going to choose Filter Gallery. So the Filter Gallery allows you to pick many different filters here. These are kind of neat. You could add these to your own images. And let's see if there's one I like. You could spend a while trying to find one that's cool. I kind of like this one. And you can adjust the settings on this side here. Okay. I also said you need to add color. I already have color here, so as long as you have color in your image somewhere. But if you want to experiment with the brush tool, that could be kind of cool. The brush tool, we can select any preset brushes up at the top here. They've got some cool ones. For instance, 74 is a leaf. And if I set my color to red, I can make a bunch of leaves like this. Okay? That doesn't really fit with my image, but you could do that if you want. Okay, another way to incorporate colors, you could use the gradient, which is right here, right below the eraser. And there are also presets here. I'll show you the rainbow one just for fun. And I just have to click and drag to create a gradient. Okay, now that's going to overwrite my image layer. So what I could do is add another layer. At the very bottom of my layer window, right beside the trash can, there is a page with the corner turned up. I can click that to make a new layer. And then I can make my rainbow. Okay, and then move that where I want. Okay, I don't really want a rainbow actually. I can delete that. Okay, and the very last thing is to add some kind of other graphic. So I'm suggesting we use the custom shape tool for that. On the toolbar, you'll probably have a rectangle tool. It's right above the hand. If you click and hold on that, we have access to a rounded rectangle, an ellipse, a polygon, a line tool, and finally the custom shape tool. Okay, once I select custom shape tool, I have access to all these shapes up on the top here. Okay, so I have a paw print. There's like a bunny rabbit, cat, all sorts of fun things. If you don't have all these ones that I have, you can click on the little gear and say all. And that will replace current shapes with the shapes from all. Yeah. Okay. And maybe I want to put a bicycle on here because I ride my bike to work. I'm not riding my bike right now because the streets are covered with ice, but normally I do. Okay, maybe I'll put that in the corner here. Okay. And that is it. So you guys can mess around and make something yourself.